Now it's time for the No BS Sports Zone podcast. All right, welcome to episode 5 of the No BS Sports Zone. Rob Johnson back with you for another episode. It's been a while. I know it's been a while for me. I know it's been a while for you all. But we're going to try to get this thing rocking and rolling, especially with the NFL back. A lot of uncertainties with this crazy pandemic. Hope everybody's staying safe and healthy. Today we're going to discuss a few topics, do some predictions, things like that. What I want to start out today with is Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless made some comments on Dak Prescott, talking about him being weak in the sense of him coming out talking about his mental health and things like that after he had the unfortunate passing of his brother, and not being able to work out and things like that. I look at this from a few standpoints. Number one, yes, in the black community there is a stigma. If you come out, you're weak. You're very weak, which is different from the white community. Hate to bring race into this, but it is what it is, and it just has to be said. I look at an example of Jonathan Martin. If you go back and look at Jonathan Martin and the Richie Incognito situation, I really feel that if the circumstances had been different, changed, meaning if Richie Incognito had been black and Jonathan Martin had been white, it would have been really bad. Richie Incognito still currently plays in National Football League, and at that time we were going through a bullying, sort of a campaign all throughout sports and wrestling, all that stuff. So I feel like the circumstances would have been a lot different if the races would have been different in that situation. I also look at it from this standpoint. I have to give Skip some credit on this as being a real journalist and probably last of a dying breed. Is he a troller sometimes? Yes. Does he always say the politically correct thing? No. However, when you're dealing in a world like the NFL, when you're dealing in a world where people find any advantage, a very sick world, to take advantage of anything, you'll have players who will come up to Dak and who will say off the wall, off the cuff type things. Is it right? No. Is it responsible as a human being? No. However, when you're dealing with business, when you're dealing with millions of dollars, getting to the billions of dollars in an industry like the National Football League, you have to realize that sometimes you have to keep some of your weaknesses quiet. Sometimes you have to keep some of the things that go on with you quiet, because there are people out there who will try to take advantage of that situation. So if you're Dak, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to come out strong, you're going to have to come out hard, and you're going to have to come out and show everybody that you are an ultimate fighter on the field. And not only because he is a black man in this country, but he's also a black quarterback. So there's more expected of him. Like I said, I hate to bring the race factor into it. However, when you look at it, it just is what it is. I think there's sometimes in society, in sports, we have to come to some conclusions that sometimes, it just is what it is. That's the world we live in. We may not like it. It may be uncomfortable for us to talk about it. However, it is a very real thing. And here on the No BS Sports Zone podcast, that's what we do. We keep things honest. We keep things real with you all, because that is what needs to be done. That is what the essence of being a journalist is all about. And, Skip Bayless is one of those old school journalists, man. He says what's on his mind. He says what needs to be said. And like I said, it can be insensitive sometimes, but that's what he's all about, man. So we'll keep an eye out on this situation. Hopefully Dak can come out and kind of silence some of the people who are kind of giving him some criticism, but at the same time, for all the up-and-comers out there, be very careful in who you share your weaknesses with, because people will take advantage of it. Number 2 topic today, we're going to talk about the slow dying death of the Houston Rockets. When I say the slow dying death, I mean basically tomorrow night it's going to be over. You have a guy like LeBron James who didn't score many points last night, nearly had a triple-double. I don't know what Houston was doing. I don't know if they were sleepwalking. I understand that the commentators last night got kind of excited towards the end of the game, because Houston actually cut it to within 5 to 7 points, I believe, in like the last minute. But then the Lakers just turned it on. Caruso made some plays. LeBron made a great pass to Caruso in the corner for a 3. Rajon Rondo continues to impress. I heard some people out there say, "Oh, they don't need Rondo." They need Rondo. Rondo is Rondo number 9 is the dude who is just completely out there playing defense, getting threes, getting steals. Rondo is just the essence of what a basketball player is. Getting to Houston, what I saw last night that really disturbed me was this fact right here. And everyone who thought that the small ball concept was great, I have some bad news for you. Points in the paint were 62-24. The Lakers scored 62 points in the paint out of their 110 points. Think about that for a second. Total rebounds, 52-26, 12-1 offensive. When you're getting 12 offensive rebounds to 1, that means you're getting easy points. That means that your bigs are dominating their bigs. And the Lakers played small ball last night. They even had a rookie come off the bench and hit a couple of big shots. The Lakers just a better team right now. I think a lot of our experts or wannabe experts out there, you know, the Facebook spears and things like that, and the Twitter spears, you know, oh, they're in trouble after they lost game 1 to the Blazers. The Lakers are a slow starting team, but they're very well coached. Frank Vogel is one of the better coaches in the industry. If it hadn't been for a great effort by LeBron, Wade, and Bosh back in the day, I mean, he's taken the Indiana Pacers to the NBA Finals. And we're not talking about Paul George leaving Indiana. We're talking about Indiana winning championships. He had them on the brink with Paul George, with the supporting cast. So Frank Vogel is one heck of a coach. Now, Mike D'Antoni, as one of his proteges, one of his great players, Steve Nash, enters the league, it may be time for Mike D'Antoni to leave the league. I'm not saying that he is not a great coach. Mike D'Antoni deserves all the accolades, what he did in Phoenix, what he's done in Houston, etc., what he's done with the USA team, but it's just not working. I feel like his legacy right now is that he brought in the small ball concept, and it just has not worked. Also, when you look at this Houston Rockets team, he's just not getting the best out of James Harden. I know James sometimes scores a lot, and I know sometimes, you know, he plays really hard on defense like he did against Oklahoma City. It took them 7 games to beat Oklahoma City. If I told you that before the season, you'd probably look at me and ask me to be drug tested. Okay? So you go 7 games to Oklahoma City. What are you going to do against the Lakers? And Harden doesn't even look motivated for me. He looks like he doesn't even want to be in Houston anymore. He looks like he cannot stand Russell Westbrook. And Russell Westbrook, on the other hand, guys, he just continues to be Russell Westbrook. Struggle. He's a great player. Like I said, no criticizing. I'm not criticizing the guy. I'm not trying to say he's a scrub. I'm not trying to say he's not going to be a Hall of Famer one day. But ladies and gentlemen, there's a reason Kevin Durant packed his bags and went to Golden State. Because he knew he would never win a championship with that guy. That guy who you were up 3-1. 3-1, and you give that game up. Kevin Durant knew he would never win a championship with that guy. And Russell Westbrook. And ladies and gentlemen, last time I checked, it's all about championships. I'm sorry, even if you don't win a championship, it's about getting to the finals. Everybody talks about LeBron. He's been in the finals 8-9 times. He's been in the finals. I don't care if it was in the East or whatever. He's been to the finals. Kevin Durant, before he went to the Golden State Warriors, he was winning the finals once. LeBron and the crew knocked him out 4-1. And guess who were the players on that team? James Harden, Russell Westbrook. What happened when they had to get against the pressure against the Miami Heat? And I don't want to hear about them being young. I don't want to hear that. Because LeBron was young too, and he went up against the San Antonio Spurs. Lost 4-0, but at least he got to the finals with a very, very bad supporting cast. You had Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Serge Ibaka. I don't want to hear no excuses, my man. And I believe they had Derek Fisher on that team. So I don't want to hear any excuses from a guy like Russell Westbrook. Look, man, he's just breaking down. Let's just keep it honest. The man's over 30 now. He's been jumping, diving, doing all this crazy stuff all this long. The man is starting to break down. Russell Westbrook, I think, 6'3", 6'4", but his body's taken a pounding over the years. Like I said, the running, the jumping, all that stuff that he does, he goes hard. But sometimes he goes hard to a default. And sometimes going too hard can make it so where you hurt your basketball team. So I think there are some changes coming along for the Houston Rockets in the offseason. There has to be. Because you can't keep having the same thing over and over again. They had their chance back when CP3 was there and they were up on the Warriors. and they had that game 7. That was their chance. I don't think they'll get another chance here going forward if they don't get some really good players in, make some trades. I think Mark Jackson should be the next head coach for the Houston Rockets. I believe that he could hone in James Harden, really give him that potion that he needs to become that great two-way player and that motivation. Mark Jackson will not have small ball. I can guarantee you that right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we go to college football. I go through the games and give you guys my predictions. So we have the 12 o'clock slate, so we'll go from there and then go to the 1:30s and etc. First, we have Eastern Kentucky at West Virginia. Definitely West Virginia in this game. I have them winning by, I'd say, at least 28 points. We have Syracuse against North Carolina. North Carolina is to be reckoned with this year. Watch out for them. They're going to beat Syracuse, I'd say, by at least 20 points. I'd say about 31-10, something in that range. Then we have Arkansas State against Kansas State. Be careful with Arkansas State here. They're a team that can come in and maybe make some noise coming into Manhattan. But I'm going to give it to Kansas State. I'd say 27-21, close game. Next, we have Charlotte against Appalachian State. Appalachian State, always tough team to play against, going down there and playing those guys. I'd give it to Appalachian State. I'd give it to them 30-14. Next, we have Louisiana Lafayette against Iowa State. Iowa State, always a tough team at home. I'd say Iowa State 35-14. Close game first half, but Iowa State pulls away. Then we have University of Louisiana Monroe against Army. Tough game here. I think Louisiana Monroe can come in and pull this off at the 1:30 slot on the road. I'd say 21-14. Next, we have Duke against Notre Dame. Don't know how Duke is going to fare in this game. I'm looking at Notre Dame scoring 49 points, so about 49-7, blowing out Duke. Notre Dame really a powerhouse this year. At the 2:30 slot. Now we go to the 3:30 slot games, which is 3. We have Campbell playing Georgia Southern. I give it to Georgia Southern. Always tough at home. They should win that game. Next we have Georgia Tech at Florida State. I don't think Georgia Tech has revealed their quarterback yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and give this to the Florida State Seminoles, who should be much more improved than they were last year. Then we have UT Austin against Texas State. Texas State should win this game at home. Pretty good offense, so I give it to Texas State. Next, we have Austin Peay against Pittsburgh. Watch out for this game tomorrow at 4 p.m. My man Dean Powell, who is a former New Kent great, and he'll be playing tomorrow against. I think he said he'll be back tomorrow or next week in Cincinnati. I think it's tomorrow because they'll be at Heinz Field against the Pittsburgh Panthers, and that game will be at 4 o'clock. So make sure you check out Austin Peay. He lost the first game. Unfortunately, I would give this game to Pittsburgh. I'd say about 35-14. But Austin Pew's pretty tough. They should be able to stick in the game. Next, we have Missouri State against Oklahoma. Definitely Oklahoma in this one. I give it to them 56-14 in the blowout. We got the Citadel against South Florida. South Florida in this one, definitely at home. I give it to them 28-21. Next, we have Clemson at Wake Forest. Wake is always tough at home. Wake at night is tough at home. This would be a primetime game, I believe, at the 7:30 slot. But definitely I go Clemson. I give it to Clemson this one, 42-10 in a blowout of Wake. Next we have Tulane and South Alabama. I give it to South Alabama. Always a tough team at home. They should win this game easily by at least 20. Next we have Western Kentucky against Louisville. Louisville is picked in the top 5, I believe, in the ACC this year. They should win this game by at least 30 points against Western Kentucky. Next we have Houston Baptist against Texas Tech. Texas Tech probably will score about. They'll probably score over 70 in this game. They'll score over 50 points. Put it to you like that. Houston Baptist really isn't that good, I don't believe, and they will definitely have a lot of points scored against them. As I'm looking at their schedule, their first game against North Texas, they gave up 57. So if they give up 57 to North Texas, who, mind you, is a very damn good offense, they'll give up a lot of points to Texas Tech in this game. Because Texas Tech, no matter where they're picked in the Big 12, always scores a lot of points against bad teams. Next, we have UTEP against Texas. Texas all the way here. Texas will blow these guys out, I'd say, by at least 25, 30 points. Next game we have is Coastal Carolina against Kansas. Give it to Kansas, maybe about 28 points. So I give it to them about 35-7 over Coastal Carolina. The NFL started this past Thursday when we had Kansas City against the Houston Texans. Kansas City won that game 34-20. Kansas City was far above the better team. And by the way, J.J. Watt, torn ACL, is out for the season. Horrible news for a Houston Texans defense that was starting to play a little bit better before Patrick Mahomes really turned it on those guys last night. All right, let's go to the 1 o'clock slot games for Sunday. We have Seattle against the Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to give this game to Seattle. I think Seattle's going to be dominant this year. They're going to be very good. They have all types of greatness at all their skill positions. I would say in this game, 24-14, Seattle wins. Next game, we have Cleveland-Baltimore. Definitely Baltimore here. 28-20. I'm just gonna say 20-24. I think Cleveland's gonna be tough in this game. I think Myles Garrett's gonna come out like a crazed man and get after Lamar Jackson in that running game. So I give it 28-24 and a really good game in Baltimore. Next we have the Jets and Bills. Bills all the way in this game. I think Josh Allen's going to come out. He's going to run. He's going to throw. Stephon Diggs is going to get into things early. They're going to get their running game going with their running backs. Their defense is going to be popping all day. I give it to the Buffalo Bills, 35-14, in a complete blowout and a complete just thrashing of the New York Jets. Next we have the Las Vegas Raiders and the Carolina Panthers. I'm about to give this to the Las Vegas Raiders. Derek Carr knows that this could be his last season. He knows that with every snap that they're evaluating him, too many interceptions could mean possibly down the road being, replaced, or he could be shipped out at the end of the season because Gruden doesn't play games. He wants his quarterback to be efficient. And I believe that the Raiders will come in and they'll win this game. McCaffrey should have a pretty good game. I even believe that Teddy Bridgewater will have a good game. 17-14, travel cross country. I think that the Raiders will win this game. Detroit against Chicago. Detroit, one of my sleeper teams to actually win a division this year. And after I finish up with the scores, I'm going to give you my division winners and Super Bowl predictions. I think Detroit, with Galladay and Stafford, with health, we don't know if they're going to stay healthy all year. So, bottom line is this. With health, with Matthew Stafford and Galladay, if they stay healthy all year, I think the defense will be improved. I think that the NFC North is up for grabs because you don't know what's going to happen with Green Bay. I still think that Green Bay is a great team, but just something about that 13-3 year that doesn't sit right with me from last year. I think that they're on borrowed time. I feel like Minnesota's on borrowed time. I feel like they've been having success the last few years, but a lot of changes in the offseason. Dalvin Cook contract dispute, and the Bears just being the Bears. I'm going to go ahead and give this game to the Detroit Lions by a score of 35-21 and a big passing day from Matthew Stafford. The Bears defense will be good early, but I think Matthew Stafford will really show what he can do as far as his arm and just his talent, because he has a lot of talent. The Indianapolis Colts against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Colts easily in this one, 42-14. Not even giving the Jags a chance. Green Bay Packers versus Minnesota Vikings. Give it to Minnesota, first game of the season. They're still on that high from winning their playoff game last year, even though they were blown out in the divisional round. They're still high from that win in the playoffs. I think they'll win a close game in Minnesota, 21-17. Kirk Cousins gets a late touchdown pass. Aaron Rodgers can't bring the team back. Miami Dolphins against the New England Patriots. I'm going to go the Miami Dolphins here. I think I'm going to go Dolphins because of the fact that I just think that this team overall is going to shock people this year. I'm not saying they're going to go to the playoffs, but they have talent at all positions. And the Patriots have lost a lot of people, man. Patriots have lost a lot of people. And I think even with Cam Newton there, I feel like the Dolphins going into Foxborough at the end of the season, beating that team, is going to give this team a lot of confidence. And I know people are going to think that's crazy, but it's going to give his team a lot of confidence. I think people need to watch out for the Miami Dolphins, as they're not going to be a pushover for anybody in 2020. Next, we have the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Washington football team. I have Washington winning this game. Oh, and by the way, the Dolphins score. I have the Dolphins winning 21-14. This game, I think the Washington defense is going to show up, and they're going to show up with a ferocity that people are not expecting. A fearless, just fierce, competitive banner that people are just going to be shocked about. This Washington team can be very good if they do the right things. And I believe Philly coming out, they're going to be a little overconfident. Coming off last year when Washington played Philly, went in there, were up on them in halftime. They did not execute in the second half. The difference is you have Ron Rivera, and last year you had Jay Gruden. They're not the same coaches. They're not the same men. They don't have the same character. Enough said. Washington wins this football game 24-21, last second field goal. Next we have the LA Chargers and Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going to give this game to, I believe I gave it to, I made my picks already. Who did I actually pick? I think I picked the Bengals. I did? Yes, I did pick the Bengals. I think the Bengals are going to come out and win this game. The Chargers, with all of their injuries, they're going to have to show me something. They're going to have to show me that they have the ability to come out and start fresh past the Phillip Rivers era. I believe in Tyrod Taylor, but I think Joe Burrow is going to come out and have one of those special rookie games, game ones, like a Cam Newton would have. Not saying he was going to pass for many yards Cam Newton did his first game against Arizona back in 2011, but he's definitely going to come out. He's going to try to light the world on fire, and I think he will, especially because you didn't get to see him in preseason. So I'm going to give this to the Bengals, man. 28-24 in a close game, another competitive game. Buccaneers against Saints. This game, to me, is the one game that I don't think people really are. I don't think people are really understanding that. I think that the Saints are just totally sick and tired of hearing about Tampa. I think that they're just tired of hearing about how great Brady's going to be, this and that. Brady said the other day he's still learning the system. Now, could that have been a little decoy to kind of throw people off? Maybe, because Brady is, Brady is really calculated like that. However, I have Drew Brees breaking Peyton Manning's single season passing yards record in a season. I think the running game is going to be really good. I think putting Emmanuel Sanders in that wide receiver core, you have some other good underrated receivers. I just think New Orleans is going to come out, and I think their defense is going to be so motivated, and it may just be for one game, but I think they're going to blow them out. Like, I think they're just going to blitz them, and it's going to throw everybody off for a loop. I got the Saints winning this game 42-4 I have them winning 42-10 in a complete thrashing of Tampa. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I just got a feeling it's going to happen this Sunday. Next, we have another intriguing game, Arizona against San Francisco. Get DeAndre Hopkins, which now you have to deal with that if you're Richard Sherman in that secondary. Still got to deal with the old Wally veteran and Larry Fitzgerald. He may have lost a lot of speed, but hey, his diminished speed is still fast. So he's still fast. So he can still get down the field and make first downs. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about, is first downs in the NFL. And he's tall. He hasn't lost his height, so he can still make those leaping catches for Arizona. I think Arizona's just a better team this year. Not better than San Francisco overall, but just saying that I think that they just have that it factor. They have that special Kyler Murray and that coaching staff. So I'm gonna give it to the Arizona Cardinals, and another close game. It's gonna be a great day of close games. I say 20-17, last second field goal, possibly even some overtime. Next we have the Sunday night game between Dallas and the LA Rams. I'm gonna keep it really simple. Until I see Dallas's defense and what they can do, I can't pick them right now. to win a division, do anything. I have to see what these receivers are going to do. I mean, CeeDee Lamb was great coming out of Oklahoma, but what is he going to do in the NFL? Is Amari Cooper, is he going to catch the ball? Is he going to be able to go over the middle? Michael Gallup, is he going to be able to stay on the field? The bottom line for Dallas, they need to make sure they get Ezekiel Elliott the ball. He is going to be their workhorse this year. For me, if Ezekiel Elliott can get over 2,000 total yards, even have a 2,000-yard rushing season this year, I think that's what Dallas's success will come from. They need to get the old formula they had back in the day with Troy Aikman. Run the football, get to the playoffs, run the football, and make timely passes when you can. Dak doesn't need to throw for 5,000. He needs to throw for 4,000. He can throw for 3,000 yards, and he'll be fine. You know, throw for 3,500 yards. You know, throw for 25 touchdowns. Keep your interceptions low. That's all you need. Because if you have a running game and you can control the clock, that means your defense stays off the field. I think the defense can be good. I just have to see it first. Them getting rid of Ha Ha Clinton-Dix does not shock me one bit because I never thought Ha Ha Clinton-Dix was good to begin with. He gives up a lot of big plays, as you saw what he did in Washington, even in Green Bay, and even Chicago, gave up a lot of big plays. I don't know if Dallas is going to go after Earl Thomas. They're creating a lot of space right now by restructuring a lot of deals. I think now they have at least $15 million in cap space. So they're doing what they need to do to make sure that they are building their team correctly. And I have to give kudos to the organization for that. I have to pick the Rams. This has to be the litmus test. Has to be a litmus test for Dallas. You go into LA against a team that has a deep running game, a team that has a quarterback that has weapons, etc. I got to see what they're going to do. If Dallas comes out this game and they impress me, I can go forward and start picking them in games. But I have to see what they're going to do first because last time they were in LA, they got gashed. And they got gashed big time in the playoffs. So we have Monday Night Football. We have Pittsburgh against New York Giants. I have the Giants. I need to see, just like Dallas, I need to see what Pittsburgh has. I need to see what Big Ben Roethlisberger brings to the table. What are you bringing, Ben? Are you bringing Big Ben of old, or are you just bringing old Ben? That's why I'm going to give it to the Giants. I think Saquon Barkley can have a pretty decent night. Not running the ball, more of catching the ball out of the backfield. Decent receivers for the Giants. Daniel Jones, I believe, will have a good night rushing the ball and throwing the ball. It won't be anything spectacular, but I think the Giants will do just enough to shock the Pittsburgh Steelers. Next, we have the Denver Broncos against the Tennessee Titans. I'm up against the Tennessee Titans. Von Miller going out, I believe, is a big shot in the arm for Denver. I believe that Henry for the Titans could possibly go for 150 to 200 to 250. And I just don't think that Denver has the ability to stop a guy like Henry in this game. So I'm going to give it to the Tennessee Titans. Now we're going to go to my division winners. So for the NFC, I have Eagles, Saints, Seahawks, Lions. For the AFC, I have the Kansas City Chiefs, Tennessee Titans, Baltimore Ravens, and Buffalo Bills. I skipped through all the playoffs and all that because I just get right to the point with my things. NFC title game, I have Seattle at the Saints. And AFC, I have Baltimore at Kansas City. My Super Bowl, I have Seattle versus Kansas City. I have Seattle winning Super Bowl 38-35. So that is my Super Bowl. I have Seattle beating Kansas City 30-35. So hopefully you guys can get some football in. Hopefully you get the NBA playoffs in. Also, let me also mention to you guys as well, because we do have some hockey. We do have hockey fans out here, and we have some baseball fans as well. Right now, AL East, we have the Rays leading the Blue Jays by 3.5 games. We have Chicago White Sox leading the Minnesota Twins by a game in the AL Central. AL West, we have the Oakland Athletics up 6.5 games, which is just shocking, but not shocking because remember I had the Oakland A's pretty high in my rankings before the season. 6.5 up on the AL West over the Houston Astros. National League, we have NL East. We have the Atlanta Braves up 3 games on the Philadelphia Phillies. We have the NL Central. The Cubs are 3 games up on the St. Louis Cardinals. And in the NL West, we have the Dodgers up 3.5 games on the surprising San Diego Padres, who are really the feel-good story of the baseball season, along with the Blue Jays, of course. Tonight, We have the Tampa Bay Lightning against the New York Islanders. The Lightning lead this series right now at 2-0. If the Islanders don't win tonight, you can pretty much call this thing over with. Tomorrow night we have the Dallas Stars against the Vegas Golden Knights. Dallas up 2-1 in that series so far. You really feel like that Vegas needs to win, because if they don't, Dallas could go ahead and make their first appearance in the finals since before the 2000s. That's about it on the sports calendar. And like I said, look for me to be back with you guys. I'm going to try to be back with you possibly on Thursdays, so we can preview the Thursday night game, or I'll do a quick preview of the Thursday night game on Thursday, and then I'll come back to you all on Friday. We'll do No BS Sports Zone. I want to continue to try to do more episodes. It's going to be a little difficult, but if we can continue to get support, that's the biggest thing. We need you guys to go and support. Go ahead and support Rob Johnson Media. Hit the subscribe button. Let all your friends know. Subscribe to Rob Johnson Media and to GS&E. GS&E is my video game entertainment channel. That's where I do video games, silly things, have fun, and all that stuff. But it's all under the Rob Johnson Media Corporation. I'm trying to build my Rob Johnson Media. I'm gonna try to start doing clothes, start trying to do different other things. But you guys got to support the dream. You can't have things if you don't have supporters. I need you guys' support. Make sure you subscribe to Rob Johnson Media. Share this video, like this video. I work hard to make sure you guys are having the best time and best experience when it comes to the world of sports. I'm Rob Johnson. You all have a great day and enjoy this weekend's games.